Hey, it's Ethan here, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to show you around a tool that might be very useful for you in your personal study of Scripture. It's called BibleHub, and it's a free website that you can access to get access to all sorts of free resources like interlinear Bibles, side-by-side comparisons of translations, Strong's concordances, and commentaries. It puts it all in one convenient place, and I've got my laptop here and I'll show my screen so that you can follow along with what I'm doing and just get a quick introduction to BibleHub and consider how it might help you. So let's jump in together. So I've loaded up BibleHub's front page here, and you can see it might be a little bit daunting at first, but let's get into the good stuff right away. So at the very top of the screen, you'll notice that there's an option here to select from all the books of the Bible. Now let's say, in keeping with our tradition, let's say we want to look at the book of Ephesians. So if we hit Ephesians, you can see it's loaded up Ephesians 1:1 for us right away. And the cool thing is that the default behavior is actually to put a bunch of translations right in front of you so you can read this in a variety of different translations. You can see here the New International Version, the NLT, ESV, and you can actually, at the top here, select which one you'd like. So let's say we want to read from the Christian Standard Bible. So we'll change that at the very top, and we'll let it reload. And here we go. This is the total of Ephesians 1 in that translation, which is really cool. So this is a great resource if you would like to be able to read multiple different versions of the Bible together at the same time. I think that that's actually great, so you can get an idea of how the words have been translated, and different translations might stick out to you differently depending on how you learn. So keep that in mind as you're looking through. So let's say we want to hone down on a specific verse. We can in fact do that by clicking the verse number in the text, and that'll open up Ephesians 1:3 in this case with all the different verse types in the different translations. We can also click here to go back for the chapter, and that's totally fine as well. Now the cool thing is that if there's an opportunity where the Bible cross-references, and what that means is that there are other scriptures that talk about the same topic or reference the same information, those are actually referenced here in the cross-references section on the website. And so you can see here 2 Corinthians 1:3 has very similar language. Ephesians 1:20, Ephesians 2:6, and Ephesians 3:10 and 6:12 all are cross-referenced with this text. So that's a useful way to start looking at connection. In our third session, we talked about how we can connect one scripture to another. Cross-referencing is a great way to do that. You can see if we keep scrolling down, it starts to go into the Old Testament as well, and there's a variety of different ones that we can look at. So that's a very helpful tool. I hope that you'll make use of that. Now, let's try something else. So let's say we want to look at Ephesians chapter 2. So let's load up Ephesians chapter 2. And from the top menu again, let's click here where we can see it says Bible. And let's see what we can do. Let's see a BibleHub parallel. Perfect. So as you see there, if you wanted to actually just get straight to this multi-translation screen, that would be the way to do it. Very cool. Now, I haven't scrolled all the way down this page yet, and there's more to see, so stick with me here. So if we go down even further, past all of these translations, and keep on scrolling down, you'll also start to encounter text from a variety of different commentaries. Now, a commentary is a usually quite exhaustive book written by various Bible scholars with their comments, observations, and notes regarding every single passage in the Bible. Now, there are ones that cover the New Testament, some are specific to different books of the Bible, some of them are exhaustive for the whole Bible, and you'll find that there's quite a few different options that you can choose from. What I'd encourage you to do is read a few. Don't just get hung up on one, but read a few and see what they have to say. And you can see here that each of them writes differently, they categorize their work differently. And if we keep scrolling down, you'll find as well some of the Greek words. Now, if you really want to dig into it, you can get into the Greek and into the Hebrew. And one of the best ways to do that is to interact with what's called a concordance. Now, the best known concordance is Strong's concordance. A concordance is essentially a library. It's a collection of every single word that's used in the ancient languages of the Bible, both Hebrew and Greek. Now, much of the New Testament was actually written in Aramaic and then translated into Greek. So we use Greek primarily as our New Testament language and Hebrew as our Old Testament language. And the concordance will allow you to find words using numbers. So let me explain and show you how that works. So if we go up to the top here and use Ephesians 2 verse 1 and hit the Strong's HCSB, which stands for Holman Christian Standard Bible. So let's click that. And we'll let that load. And here we go. Now this might not look all that different, but you'll notice as I hover over each word, it starts to glow this different color. And what that means is as I hover over it, you can see some Greek text come up as well as a number. Now, the Strong's number is simply how you locate a word within the massive collections of words that there is inside of a Strong's concordance. So in this case, the word for trespasses in the Greek is labeled 3900. If I go to and, the word kai in the Greek is labeled number 2532. And so on and so on. So let's click on one. Let's just pick one at random here. So let's click on together with. So we'll click on N1722. So let's click that. Now what this is going to do, it's going to open a new page which is going to tell us what this word means in its original language. So we can see here that it means in, on, at, by, or with. Now, if you're familiar with the Greek, which obviously to study the Bible you don't need to be, this is a great tool to just help you break apart sentences and start to do word studies and really dig into the nitty-gritty details. It also tells us what part of speech it is. So it's a preposition, how to say it, its phonetic spelling, and its definition. You can see the helps word study here is properly in the realm of as in the condition in which something operates from or inside. Now the cool thing is that you can also see where this word is used in other portions of Scripture here on the right side of the screen. So you can see it's used in Matthew 1:18, Matthew 1:20, Matthew 1:23. And if we keep scrolling down this page and we look at the Strong's Concordance as well, you'll see there's quite a bit of detail here as to what it means and how different variants of this word have been used in the Scripture. And I said to you in the course that you can go as deep as you want here, and I meant that. There's a lot of detail here that you can glean from. So if we were to scroll through this page, and on the right-hand side, you'll see there are actually 2,777 occurrences of this preposition in the Greek, which is quite remarkable. Now, let's go back to our previous page, and let's pick something that's a little bit less common. So let's pick something like Messiah. Let's do that one. Now, Messiah is an interesting word because it actually comes from a Hebrew origin, and the word Messiah is actually translated as Christos or Christ, where we get our word Christ from in the Greek. And you can see here it's a noun, it's a masculine noun. Its translation is Christos, and its phonetic spelling is there. The definition is the anointed one, Messiah or Christ. And we can see here where it's used, starting in Matthew. And you'll notice that Matthew is the starting place usually for all Greek words because our New Testament is written in Greek. And so as we scroll down, we'll see a whole bunch of different occurrences where that word has been utilized. And we can see here, if we keep scrolling, it's used 538 times in the Strong's Greek Concordance, and its number is 5547. And so in that way, you can utilize a concordance to conduct word studies and evaluate when a word is used, how often it's used, when it's first used, and when it's last used. And this is a good way to use a concordance because concordances, if you get a book version of one, it can be like this thick and weigh about 5 kilos. And so this is not only a cheaper way to do it because it's free, but it's also something you can do on the go, and you can utilize this using your smartphone or any other means that you wish. So let's finish up by looking at how we can understand commentaries. And so if I scroll all the way down here in this menu, so I went up to the top again, I pushed Bible, and I scroll down a bit further. And you'll see here there's a heap of different commentaries that come up here. So let's pick one here. Let's say we want to look at the Barnes notes. Let's just go with the first one. And currently our scripture is set to Acts 27:10. And we can see here that these are categorized by verse. And this right here, this area I've highlighted, is just his notes on the first verse of this chapter. And so there's a lot to be gleaned here historically. There's a lot to be gleaned here for insight into the Bible. Now, each writer of a commentary will approach from a different perspective because they all have different backgrounds, and some of them will emphasize different things more than others. And as you go along, you'll learn which commentaries have different tones and how they address things. I recommend you read a few. And one that a lot of people have utilized is the Matthew Henry commentary. He is a very exhaustive writer and very emphatic in the way that he writes about the Bible. And so you can see here that he breaks his thoughts up by verse, but also by segment. And so there's a tremendous amount of information here for that segment between Acts 27:1 to 11. And this is all just for that. So I encourage you to have a play with BibleHub.com. Consider using it as a resource in your study, and hopefully you'll be able to unlock some useful and trustworthy information as you look at steps 1 and 2 of our study framework, context and content. Hopefully that's helpful for you.